Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a online double interview, actually, with Endeavour Silver, as there has been a transition. Endeavour Silver, the seventh largest silver producer in the world by now. And first of all, let me introduce our two speakers here today. We have Bradford Cooke, the founder or co-founder and former CEO, now chairman of the company, and we have Dan Dickson, the former CFO, who is now promoted to CEO position. And very warm welcome here today from Austria to Vancouver. How are you guys doing?
Excellent, thanks.
Good, thank you. Thank you, Jochen.
Perfect. As this is like an introduction interview with Dan, but first I want to give the word, of course, to Bradford. And I mean, this transition is like something I think which was planned a long time ago, and I think it's the right way to do so, to give the young generation now the power.
Absolutely. You know, this was a company that started in 2003. We bought our first mine in 2004. We've been producing since 2005. Looking back over the last 17 years, we've accomplished a lot. And we also survived some tough times, and we rode out some good times. So I think that the company's now on a very solid footing. We have our operations humming along, and we also have, I think, a development pipeline that other companies envy. So I think it's the right time for old guys like me to step aside.
Yeah, I've been with the company almost 14 years. Started with Brad as the controller. They brought me in as controller. I was a short-lived controller. I lasted there about a year. I was lucky enough to become interim CFO. I don't know if they ever took the interim tag off me, but here we are 14 years later. And ultimately, trying to step into Brad's shoes and be the CEO, and I think he's set the company up for it to be an easy transition. As we've had some really good drill results lately that we've put out. We've had great operating results. The team that we have in place, which is ultimately what's made us successful, is going to be the same. Just a new leader behind that team. And our VP of Exploration's been with us for close to 15, 16 years. He's been very successful. We've really grown this company through the drill bit, and that's a function of our team. And we got a new COO that we brought in September of last year. His most recent background's been building two mines, one in Guatemala, the next one in Colombia. We brought him in September, and one of his main focus is going to be bringing Terronera on stream for us, which is going to ultimately be a flagship asset for Endeavour.
Fantastic. Before we come to your exceptional quarterly results, I would mention something which I found really interesting. You had fantastic drill results at Guanacaste, and I think the guys there are doing an exceptional job, as you had some hiccups, of course, in the past, but now it looks like this is again a super mine. And one of our viewers was writing on YouTube, it looks like they added another 15 years of mine life. So who wants to comment on that?
I'll comment on it. Yeah, we did go through a couple tough years at Guanacaste, and that's normal course. When you see your margins kind of put in some culture programs, training programs, re-looked at all our processes and procedures, and really start to hum along. And then with that, silver prices came back, gold prices came back, and we started making additional discoveries. And we've been at Guanacaste for close to 15, 16 years now, and we've never had more than a 2-3 year mine life in a reserve sense of the word. So ultimately, we think we at least have 6, 7, 8 more years there, and there's opportunity to continue to grow from that. So the drill results have been phenomenal. Our grades that we mined in the past quarter have been phenomenal, and it's humming along, and again, become the cornerstone of what we built the company off of. And it's going to be there for the next, hopefully, decade.
Fantastic. Sorry, Brad, do you want to add something?
I was just going to say that we mentioned in our last press release on the Guanacaste drill results that this new discovery at El Curso is getting so big now, it's starting to look like the original Porvenir Norte discovery from 2004. And if you recall, that discovery started with 12 drill holes. And we ended up mining it for 16 years, Porvenir Norte. We had to close it a couple of years ago, and thankfully we now have an emerging new and high-grade ore body at El Curso that actually sits between two previously known ore bodies, Porvenir Cuatro and Velache. And our recent drilling is showing that all of these three deposits could actually connect. And if they connect, we have a potential ore body as big as the original one. So
that might be jackpot.
Yeah. So I think that the future is indeed bright at Guanacaste.
Mm-hmm. And you have been just down there in Mexico, right?
I was actually traveling in unnamed locations, looking at unnamed opportunities.
Okay. That's okay. Okay, I see. Aha, working on the future. I like that. Fantastic. Okay, then let's talk about your phenomenal Q1 results then. I'm sure you want to comment a bit on that. But one thing I really saw and which really catched my eye was $86 million in cash. I think you need for Terronera 120 million approximately, maybe 130. So it looks to me like give it 2 more quarters and you can finance it out of.
We've improved on that since. Ultimately, we've said to the marketplace that we'd like to have some debt to help build out Terronera, and we just think that's best for our shareholders to leverage a little bit of debt to be able to ultimately keep as much of the Terronera future cash flows for our existing shareholders as best we can. And we've been looking at a number of different debt packages all up and down the spectrum to kind of deliver something when the feasibility's done. But you're right, our balance sheet's in phenomenal shape with $86 million cash and, like I say, $110 million working capital.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. So how much debt? Oh, it's a wonderful thing to have, I would say. So how much debt?
We have a little bit of debt on our books.
Mm-hmm.
We have a little bit of debt on our books in 2019, 2020, or 2020. Sorry, we replenished our mobile fleet at Guanacaste and Bolañitos. So we have about $2 million as current debt and $6 million long-term, which that long-term debt would be up in about 2 years. So it's just normal course payments. There's no covenants behind it, so we have a lot of room in our balance sheet to put some debt on if we choose to go that route.
Mm-hmm, great. And how much debt do you think you want to put on? Because it must not be that much, like 40-50 million maybe.
Yeah, a little bit more than that. So if a project under our 2020 PFS was 100 million, if we see some cost creep to about 120 in our initial capital, it will end up being about 60 to 75 million. We're looking for that 65-35 % split, kind of your standard textbook debt to equity ratio. Mm-hmm. But we'll see when it all comes in. We will evaluate where we're at and what we think we can handle. We want to make sure we have some cash on our balance sheet to continue to grow. There's a lot of opportunities out there, and we don't think Terronera is our end. We have Parel coming in behind it. We want to spend some money there and then continue to build out our pipeline.
Cost-wise, you have stabilized, even went a little bit down. And what would you describe then? Is that a trend you can pursue through the year?
Yeah, our costs in Q1, I would say, were more flat than down. Yeah. We are seeing some inflationary pressures across the board, which we're seeing globally right now. I mean, any commodity, look at it and you can see higher prices. And for us, our labor costs were up a little bit. We had some higher bonuses from achieving such good results in 2020. Mm-hmm. That impacted us, but also our royalty costs are higher. We're more profitable. We're paying a special mining duty to Mexico. That's increased compared to what we've paid in the past. Our royalties at Guanacaste are higher because of the higher grade royalties, higher prices. So all that's in our cost metrics, but our operating costs, slight increase, and we're working to try to push that down. When tonnage increases later this year, by a fraction, we'll be able to drive our cost per ton down and ultimately our cost per ounce. So I think anybody in these cycles, you're going to get inflationary pressures on all your costs. And it's our job to manage that as best we can. And I think we have the team in place to be able to do it for sure. Mm-hmm. April 9th, we actually closed that transaction. We sold it to another Vancouver company, a junior Vancouver exploration company. They had a resource within 6 kilometers, I think, even less maybe, Brad, to the El Cubo plant. So it was a good fit. We do reduce our liabilities. So we had reclamation costs related to at Cubo, upwards of $5 million of what our estimate was to reclaim the property. And we sold it for $7.5 million cash and $7.5 million, $5 million in shares valued at 30 cents. Vangold's now trading at 60 cents. And then a promissory note that's due in about a year. So added cash since March 31st for sure onto our balance sheet. We want to be good partners with Vangold. We believe in the resource that they have. They're an ambitious group. They want to get a lot of things done, and we're their largest shareholder now. So we own about 11% of Vangold, and we're going to be trying to be as best partners as we can and help them out when we can, because we're also still in the district. We're only an hour away at Bolañitos, and their success means our investment improves. So it's just a better fit for El Cubo to be in Vangold, and we're happily to put it in their hands and happy to take some cash and stock for it.
Fantastic. So that means also in the future you are benefiting from the hopefully rise of the Vangold shares, as you said it already, from 30 cents to 60 cents. So you still participate, let's say, in the future success, but you do not have to do anything for it.
Hopefully you don't do anything. We want to sit by and watch, but if they have questions, we're happy to help.
The key for us in selling Cubo was that it was never going to come back on at the rate that would make it a core asset for Endeavour.
At the end of the day, our guidance hasn't changed, and we haven't seen the hiccups that we saw in Q1. Q1, we had power issues because of the cold snap in Texas and getting power into Mexico. Things have been humming along in April and so far in May, knock on wood. So we expect Q2 to be good, and we expect the whole year to be good. So steady as she goes. I don't know as much as I can give you there. But we expect, like I say, the year to be a good year.
Super. I like both are smiling. That's okay for me. So things are running well. That's fantastic. Good. If we look now at Terronera, because this is the real future for you guys, as said, you have improved your balance sheet massively, and I could imagine that you have a lot of offers for the debt financing, because I think this is a no-brainer for financing, let's say, entity. Yeah. So what is the status there, and what would be the next steps regarding a feasibility study regarding the mine construction?
Brad, do you want to take this one?
Sure. So we're almost 90% complete on the feasibility study. We're expecting the economic model by the end of this month. We are expecting the draft report in June and the final report in July. That would allow us to go to the board late summer for a development decision. And the long lead items would be getting the mine started, because there's a lot of development of the access tunnels before you even contact ore. So we want to get started on that this year. We have been buying capital equipment. We had a $9 million budget in the first half of this year to start ordering the mining fleet. If you recall, in last year's pre-feasibility study, we had pushed all of that into leasing. But there's a better economic return if we can buy it up front. And we do expect that once the board does make a positive decision, that they'll also be approving an initial capital budget so we can get started. And that capital budget would be probably a multiple of $9 million for the second half of the year.
Oh, okay.
So it's about 18 months build and 6 months commissioning. So from the day that we break ground, it's about 2 years before we see commercial production.
So it would be like end of 2023?
Yes, correct.
Okay, fantastic. Then also a question about the future. You mentioned Parral already. So what's the work program for Parral this year, and what would be, let's say, the next development steps there? Because I think this would be then your 5th mine, right?
Yeah, Parral for us, we have about 40 million silver ounces on the books as of December 31st, 2020. We have a $2 million exploration program there, continue to test what we think's there. And ultimately our goals on that after we've made this development decision with Terronera, and ultimately we're building our company that hopefully we build a team out at Terronera that we can move up to Parral to be, as you say, our 5th asset. But we have a long way to go there. Like I say, we have 40 million ounces. We think we need a scale about 60, 65 million ounces to make an economic study viable and enough rate of return for the company. And If we can get to that, that means in 2022 we'll hopefully be working on engineering for that project.
Okay.
So the big picture with regard to Peral and Terronera is that Endeavour is already, I think, one of the most silvery of the silver producers in the entire peer group. And so we're 60-40 revenue split silver gold this year. Terronera will confirm and maybe even improve the exposure to silver. Peral, being almost 100% silver, will skew us even more towards silver. So we're not only one of the most leveraged producers to silver, that leverage can only grow through Terronera and Peral. But there's a related point here as well. Almost every one of our peers have tried to buy something in the silver space, but there is just basically nothing to buy. So they bought gold. And whether it was First Majestic or Fortuna or virtually every other silver producer has had to go to gold because there's nothing to buy in silver. Dan mentioned early on that drilling, growing through the drill bit, that's in our DNA. That's who we are. That's what we could, down the road, acquire some longer-term gold-rich assets that would still allow us to remain fully leveraged to silver. Those are the points I wanted to make.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fantastic. Question to, let's say, the longer distance future. And I remember you have some great projects in Chile, of course, acquired. So what's going on in Chile? As we know, the borders are shut down. I think they are, again, very heavily affected with COVID-19, as I read in the press last week. And I think also some big copper mines are really affected already. This drove probably copper to 485 already, but will probably drive it much, much higher. But in your regard, what does it look like in Chile? What is, let's say, the program for this year there? Can you spend even some money there? Can you go underground? What's going on?
Yeah, Chile is, again, part of our bright future. We have 3 assets in Chile. Cerro Marquez, we talked about publicly. We drilled a little bit of that in 2019, couldn't get boots on the ground in 2020, and we're looking at potentially adding a partner there just because the project's so big and how much we have to do across the rest of the company. But again, to get boots in the ground, even in 2021, is proven to be a little bit difficult. At Paloma, which is in the south, a lot more south than Cerro Marquez, we are actually drilling that as we speak, or we're close to finishing our initial phase 1 program to kind of understand the mineralization, what's happening there. And testing our hypothesis that it's about a $2 million budget as well there to advance those projects. Early days, but it is elephant hunting, looking for large projects that ultimately is different than what we do in Mexico. In Mexico, everything's underground vein mining. This would be open pit heap leach operations, significant tonnage. But at the end of the day, exploration geologists is what built us. And these projects are all exploration geologist dreams, and doesn't mean all 3 are going to hit. If we get one to hit, it's going to be significantly good for our shareholders, and ultimately we'll see how it plays out. There's work to be done, and we have the budget there, and continue to advance that forward systematically like we've always done.
Fantastic. So that would mean that we will have a lot of news flow then in the second half, probably from Chile, but maybe already in the next months as you are drilling there already, right?
Exactly.
Super, perfect.
Brad alluded to it. He set this company up well for when he took a break, that there is lots to be done and lots of information to come out for sure.
Super, fantastic. Yeah, Bradford, anything you want to add here as a final sentence?
Well, you know, we have been one of the fastest growing silver companies in the sector pre 2015, and then of course with the bear market we voluntarily pulled back some of our production. Now it's time to grow again. We're in a bull market. There's still a significant amount of time remaining in this bull market, and because of our development pipeline, we have the opportunity to double our production just by building one mine at Terronera. So I think it's clear, the path is clear, and the future is bright.
Fantastic. So that would mean, like in, let's say, probably 2 to 3 years, we can talk about, let's say, at least 12 to 15, maybe 15 million ounces equivalent silver production but I think it's also fantastic then that you have now taken really the pole position, I would call it, as the CEO. And I always like it when the young people really start to do something here, and you have so long been with the company, you know it inside out. So this is fantastic. And with Bradford, you still have somebody you can always go to and discuss things and manage things. And I really look forward to do then also with you a lot of update interviews and company presentations and virtual roadshows and so on.
No, thank you, Jochen. I'm excited for the role, and there's, like I say, lots to do. Brad set this up well for hopefully that I can have some success, and he is going to be around, so I'll be able to pick his brain on a weekly basis, and I'm sure he'll give me his opinion on a weekly basis too. So it's going to be fun, hopefully next couple of years, and ultimately longer than that. So I appreciate your time and always what you've done with Endeavour and taking us out and asking us questions. And I'm sure we'll spend a little bit more time together and in the near term too. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Bradford. Also, thank you. Thank you to Dan. Brett, you wanted to say something?
Just looking forward to our next in-person meeting. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yes, me too. And then we go again to a Bayern Munich match.
Thanks,
super. Thank you very much, Brett and Dan. Dan, all the best in the new role. And of course, Brett, also all the best for you as you have a little bit more spare time now. You really deserve it. You brought up Endeavour from scratch. And as you heard, the company is again in the growth mode. So I would say the tough times are really over. Silver's also rising, gold is rising, and that helps the company a lot. But they also did an exceptional job in exploration. Guanacaste looks fantastic. This mine is again really back full on track and generating really lots of cash. But also what I really like is the company is well cashed up, $86 million here, and the future they are really building on fast track on the future with Terronera, but also with Paral. And in approximately 2 to 3 years, they will at least double then the production from here and maybe bring it, or maybe even bring it higher in the next 4 to 5 years then. And Chile is the big bright future, hopefully within the longer term, 5 to 10 years from here. But this is how it should be. This is how you run a company and how you manage. And thank you very much for watching us. I really advise you check out that wonderful company. Thanks and bye-bye from Austria.